After the East Area Rapist was arrested, the legal process began. This is what happened step by step. Once in custody, the suspect was taken to jail, where he was booked. This means his personal details were recorded, and he was photographed and fingerprinted. The prosecutor, who is a lawyer representing the state, formally charged the suspect with multiple crimes. These charges included burglary, assault, and many other serious offenses. The suspect had to appear in court shortly after being arrested. This was his first time in front of a judge regarding the charges. The judge informed him of his rights and the charges against him. The charges against the East Area Rapist were very serious. Here are some of them. 1. Burglary, entering homes unlawfully. 2. Kidnapping, taking people against their will. 3. Assault, hurting people. 4. Sexual assault, attacking people in a sexual manner. These charges reflected the many crimes he committed over the years. The prosecution had to build a strong case to ensure the suspect would be convicted. However, they faced some of the challenges. Some of the evidence was very old, which made it hard to present in court. They had to make sure it was still reliable. There were many victims and witnesses over the years. Coordinating their testimonies and making sure everyone was available to testify was a big task. The case was very complex due to the number of crimes and the span of time over which they occurred. The prosecution had to present a clear and compelling case to the jury. The defense, which consisted of lawyers representing the suspect, had their own strategies to protect their client. The defense team tried to question the reliability of the old evidence. They asked if the DNA samples could have degraded over time, or if they were handled properly. The defense might have tried to challenge the credibility of the witnesses and victims. They could suggest that memories might fade or become unclear over many years. A key strategy for the defense was to create doubt in the minds of the jurors. They aimed to show there was not enough solid evidence to prove without a doubt that their client was guilty. In the courtroom, both sides presented their cases. The prosecution laid out all the evidence they had against the East Area Rapist. They presented DNA evidence, testimonies from victims and witnesses, and detailed accounts of the crimes. The defense presented their arguments, trying to poke holes in the prosecution's case. They aimed to show there wasn't enough strong evidence to prove their client guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. The jury, a group of people selected to listen to the case, had the important job of deciding if the suspect was guilty or not. They listened to all the evidence and arguments from both sides. The judge made sure the trial was fair and followed the law. After hearing all the evidence and arguments, the jury had to decide. They would reach a verdict, which is their final decision on whether the suspect was guilty of the crimes charged against him. Throughout the trial, the community watched and waited anxiously. The impact of the East Area Rapist crimes had been felt for many years, and the trial was a significant moment for everyone involved. Here's how it affected various people. They were deeply invested in the trial, hoping for justice and closure. They attended court sessions and relived painful memories as part of the process. Many in the community felt a sense of solidarity and support for the victims. They hoped for a guilty verdict to bring peace to those affected. The detectives and officers who worked on the case watched the trial closely, hoping their hard work would lead to a conviction. If the suspect was found guilty, the judge would later decide on the appropriate punishment, which could include a long prison sentence or other penalties. The legal battle against the East Area Rapist was more than a trial. It was a journey of justice that spanned many years. The perseverance of the victims, the tireless work of law enforcement, and the advancements in forensic science all played crucial roles in bringing the suspect to justice. The trial and its outcome provided a new sense of justice for the victims and the community. It showed that, no matter how much time passes, justice can still be served. The legal battle against the East Area Rapist became a powerful example of how determined efforts, combined with modern science, could lead to justice even after many years. It reassured the public that law enforcement and the justice system are committed to protecting and serving their communities. With the legal process behind them, the victims and their families could begin to heal and move forward. They found solace in knowing that the person responsible for so many crimes had been held accountable. The legacy of the East Area Rapist case continues to inspire hope for the future. It showed that with the right tools, dedication, and community support, even the most challenging cases can be solved. It encouraged other cold case investigations and highlighted the importance of always striving for justice, no matter how long it takes. Now the trial was adjourned to a later date where the hearing will continue. The second hearing of trial of the East Area Rapist was a significant event that took place in a large courtroom. Many people were involved, and each day of the trial was carefully planned. The trial began with opening statements from both the prosecution and the defense. Each side told the jury what they intended to prove during the trial. The prosecution showed all the evidence they had gathered over the years. This included DNA samples, photographs, and items from the crime scenes. Many people came forward to share their experiences and what they knew about the crimes. These testimonies were a crucial part of the trial. Many brave survivors stepped up to tell the court about their terrifying experiences. They described what happened to them and how it affected their lives. Their stories were powerful and moving. People who had seen or heard something related to the crimes also testified. Their information helped paint a clearer picture of what had happened. Detectives and police officers who had worked on the case for years shared their findings. They explained how they connected the dots and how DNA evidence led to the suspect. The defense lawyers tried to protect their client by presenting arguments to create doubt about his guilt. The defense argued that the DNA evidence might not be reliable because it was old and could have been contaminated. They suggested that the memories of the survivors and witnesses might not be accurate after so many years, and they questioned whether they could truly identify the suspect. The defense tried to suggest that someone else could have committed the crimes. They pointed out any possible discrepancies and tried to introduce doubt about the suspect's guilt. The prosecution had strong rebuttals to counter the defense's arguments. Their goal was to prove to the jury that the suspect was indeed the East Area Rapist. They explained how DNA technology works and why the DNA evidence was reliable. They emphasized that the DNA matched the suspect perfectly, which was a strong indicator of his guilt. The prosecution highlighted how the survivors' and witnesses' stories were consistent and matched the evidence collected. They showed that these testimonies provided a clear and convincing account of what happened. They presented evidence that directly linked the suspect to the scenes of the crimes, such as items from the suspect's home that matched descriptions given by survivors. Throughout the trial, the jury paid close attention to all the evidence and testimonies. They listened carefully to both sides, taking notes and discussing among themselves. Their job was to decide, beyond a reasonable doubt, if the suspect was guilty. After both sides had presented their cases, the jury left the courtroom to discuss the evidence and make their decision. This process could take days, as they needed to thoroughly review everything they had heard. Finally, the jury returned to the courtroom with their decision. The room was filled with tension and anticipation as everyone awaited the verdict. The jury announced their decision, which would determine the suspect's fate. Many victims and their families were present in the courtroom. They listened carefully, hoping for justice. When the verdict was announced, their reactions were filled with emotion. If the jury found the suspect guilty, there were tears of relief and joy. It marked the end of a long and painful journey. The community members who had followed the case felt a sense of closure. They were glad that the person who had caused so much fear and pain was finally held accountable. The detectives and officers who had worked tirelessly on the case felt immense satisfaction. Their dedication and hard work had paid off, and justice had been served. After the jury delivered their verdict, the judge made final statements. If the suspect was found guilty, the judge decided on the appropriate punishment, which could include a long prison sentence. This sentencing was another important step in bringing closure to the victims and their families. With the trial concluded, everyone involved could begin to move forward. The victims and their families could start to heal, knowing that the East Area Rapist was held accountable for his actions. The community could feel safer, and law enforcement could take pride in their role in solving such a challenging case. The trial of the East Area Rapist became a landmark event, showcasing the power of persistence, technology, and the justice system. The successful prosecution served as an inspiration for law enforcement agencies working on other cold cases. It showed that even the most challenging cases could be solved with determination and innovative tools like DNA technology. The case highlighted the importance of forensic science in solving crimes. The use of genealogical databases and modern DNA analysis set a new standard for investigations. The trial demonstrated the strength of the community. The support and solidarity shown by the community played a crucial role in bringing justice and healing to the victims. The case underscored the lasting impact of the crimes and the need for ongoing vigilance and support for victims. It reminded everyone that justice may take time, but it is always worth pursuing. The journey from the first crime scenes to the final verdict was long and challenging, but it delivered a powerful message of hope. It showed that justice could prevail, even when the odds seemed insurmountable. The courage of the survivors, the dedication of the investigators, and the unwavering support of the community came together to bring a dangerous criminal to justice. The story of the East Area Rapist is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the power of modern science. It serves as a reminder that no matter how much time has passed, the pursuit of justice never ends. After days of careful consideration, the jury finally announced their decision. The verdict was: the jury found the East Area Rapist guilty of multiple charges, including burglary, kidnapping, assault, and sexual assault. The judge then decided the appropriate punishment. Considering the severity and number of crimes, the suspect was sentenced to spend the rest of his life in prison without the possibility of parole. The victims and their families felt a huge wave of relief and closure. Many cried tears of joy, knowing that the man who had caused them so much pain would never hurt anyone again. They felt that justice was finally served. The community joined in the sense of relief and satisfaction. They felt proud of the justice system and grateful to the law enforcement officers who worked so hard on the case. The detectives and prosecutors were praised for their relentless determination and innovative use of DNA technology. They became heroes in the eyes of many. The verdict and sentencing were significant for many reasons. The guilty verdict provided a sense of closure for the victims and their families. It meant that they could begin to heal, knowing that justice was achieved. The successful prosecution helped restore trust in the justice system. It showed that the system could work effectively, even after many years, to bring criminals to justice. The case became a symbol of hope for other victims of unsolved crimes. It demonstrated that, with perseverance and technological advances, even the coldest cases could be solved. This gave other victims hope that they too might see justice one day. The East Area Rapist case led to several changes and reforms in the legal and criminal justice system. The case highlighted the importance of DNA technology in solving crimes. It led to increased funding and support for forensic science, ensuring that law enforcement agencies had the tools they needed to solve crimes. The success of using genealogical databases to identify the rapist encouraged their use in other cases. Laws and guidelines were put in place to responsibly use these powerful tools while protecting individuals' privacy. The case brought attention to the value of cold case units, teams specially dedicated to solving old cases. Many police departments strengthened or established such units to tackle unsolved crimes. The trial underscored the importance of providing strong support systems for victims. As a result, Reforms were introduced to ensure victims received the help they needed, from counseling services to legal assistance. The East Area Rapist case left a lasting legacy in the world of criminal justice. It served as a powerful reminder of the importance of persistence in seeking justice. The dedicated efforts of law enforcement showed that no matter how much time has passed, it's never too late to solve a case. A victory for science and collaboration. The case exemplified how science and collaboration could lead to breakthroughs in challenging investigations. Detectives, forensic scientists, and the community working together achieved justice. It highlighted the need for ongoing education and training for law enforcement officers. Staying updated with the latest forensic techniques and technologies became essential for solving modern cases. The story of the East Area Rapist and the long journey to bring him to justice illustrates the incredible power of determination, technology, and community. It proves that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope for a brighter, more just future. For the victims, their families, and everyone who followed the case, the verdict and sentencing were a reaffirmation that justice, while sometimes delayed, ultimately prevails. It was a defining moment that underscored the importance of resilience and the unwavering pursuit of truth. This is the final part of this story. We upload true stories every day. Check out our other videos. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment down.